Sakura is a pathetic loner who had always been ostracized since he was little because he looked like Todoroki Shouto from My Hero Academia. He fought all his life, which led him to enroll at Furin High, a school for delinquents like him. However, his dream to be their delinquent boss won't go as planned as the school has a disappointing secret. Our story begins with a boy barely managing to stay balanced on a tightrope. Students gossip about how he kept getting into several fights in school and is nothing but a nuisance. Even their parents discuss how dangerous he is, and everyone thinks he is too dangerous to even look at. But this was expected because the boy has no idea how to interact with people. They mocked his appearance and complained over his refusal to dye his hair black. And even the color of one of his eyes is different, which made them call him cursed. Everyone thinks he was disgusting, and the boy eventually falls off the rope. Then we see our pissed off MC for the first time, named Sakura, as he just woke up from the nightmare. He headed out for an early morning stroll and came across a group of punks harassing a girl. They asked her if she would like to hang out with them, but the girl said she would love to smash some eggs on their heads, but it would be a waste of good eggs. One of the guys warned her not to be too hot-headed, but the girl seemed to be putting on quite the resistance. The punks were just too persistent as well, and the guy grabbed her by the hand to stop her from leaving. Sakura interrupted the gang of harassers and held their leader's shoulder from behind and told him not to embarrass himself in broad daylight. This irritated the leader of the punks, so he attempted to punch Sakura in the face, but with the speed of light, he dodged the blow and returned the favor, knocking out the rest of the gang as well. He grabbed the unconscious leader and told him to remember his face so he can tell other punks in the area to run whenever they see him, while also warning him never to show up again because he was weak and pathetic. He declared he is Sakura Haruka of Furin High. As he was about to leave, the girl who he had just saved ran to stop and properly thank him, which left Sakura confused as he looked around to be certain she was talking to him. After she made it clear she was talking to him, Sakura turned red with embarrassment and started rambling like a love-struck teenager, telling the girl he didn't beat up the punks to save her, but because he couldn't stand their ugly faces. Ignoring his rant, she requested to pay him back for saving her by treating him to the meal she was about to prepare that evening, and Sakura shamelessly accepted her offer immediately. Back at the girl's restaurant, she treated Sakura to some omelette rice and asked why she hadn't seen him around in the neighborhood, telling him she could see that he was not from around town, and it was rare for anyone to visit. Sakura let his insecurity jump out and told her it is because he is a weirdo, but she disagreed and said it was because he is not a nuisance to the neighborhood, unlike the gang he just fought, that have been disturbing the town and compromising its public safety. She went ahead to introduce herself as Tachibana Kotoha. Sakura was puzzled at the way he was being treated like a normal human being, and wondered if the girl was dumb or just slow, because most people would be terrified of him after witnessing him beat up 5 guys. However, she interrupted his thoughts and told him to eat up, and after grabbing a bite of the delicious food, he gobbled down some more while asking for a takeout, which she said was not available. Suddenly, Kotoha wondered if his different eyes and hair color were fake, but got shocked to realize they were the real deal. This made a paranoid Sakura jump back like a frightened cat, asking her if she wanted to fight, but she just ignored his sudden madness. Sakura then went ahead to tell her how he was used to people freaking out over his unique appearance, but Kotoha told him she was a freaky girl, used to meeting men with crazier and more unique looks. Sakura also told her that looks didn't matter in a fight, and that was why he enrolled at Furin, because the school is known for taking in students with even the worst grades, but they were excellent fighters. Most of Furin's students were delinquents that ran from their previous schools, and there they fought every day to decide who goes on top. Their dedication to fighting is so intense that they even fight on holidays, and he was determined to take the top spot. Kotoha commended him for aiming so high, and Sakura told her that fighting was all he knew how to do best because he is too dumb to study, and there was nothing more appealing to him than fighting to be number 1. Kotoha mocked him for being so enthusiastic to go to Furin High that he wore their uniform that day when classes were to begin the following day, which got Sakura so embarrassed that he told her he just moved and had nothing else to wear. He challenged her to step outside for a duel, but one of Kotoha's old customers who was leaving the restaurant interrupted their conversation. Sakura brought to his notice that he was forgetting his to-go bag, which the old man appreciated. Moments later, Kotoha gave Sakura some sweets and told him they were from the old man who was expressing his gratitude because the package he reminded him of was a gift to his grandson. This got Sakura all flustered, and Kotoha teased him, which made him consider everyone in town as crazy because he wasn't expecting such kindness or appreciation towards him when he looked like a freak, and also because he was wearing a uniform belonging to a school of delinquents. He went on to narrate how an old man once accused him of stealing from him when all he tried to do was help. After listening to his story, Kotoha told him that his dreams of becoming king of Furin High School won't be possible. She made it clear to him that he couldn't beat anyone at Furin, let alone become the top dog. This hit Haruka so hard that he got pissed and told Kotoha that he had no need for sidekicks and she underestimates his strength. She acknowledged that he may be as strong as the Incredible Hulk, but explained to him that he would not be able to reach the top because of one problem: he is all alone. As he walked out of the restaurant looking all pissed, she made it clear she wasn't referring to his physical strength and told him he would understand what she meant when he meets students at Furin High. Meanwhile, somewhere in town some hoodlums are seen causing havoc in the street, and some poor lady calls someone for help. Sakura bumped into the hoodlums, and apparently the guy he had beat up earlier for harassing Kotoha had brought backup to settle some scores, calling him Furin garbage. He tried to walk away looking uninterested, but the guy held him back and mocked him for being into cosplay after taking a closer look at his hair and eyes. But then he realized they were the real deal, so he called Sakura a freak of nature. Sakura looked happy that he finally got the reaction he was expecting from people and proceeded to smash the guy's face with his fist. After landing the punch, the rest of the gang attacked Sakura all at once, but he weaved through all of them like a skilled fighter, dodging their attacks while feeding them with kicks and punches. He took on any opponent that came his way, and the fight was heavily one-sided, even though he was outnumbered. On the other hand, Kotoha heard the commotion outside while washing dishes and came out to check things out. But she turned into a damsel in distress once again, as one of the punks took her hostage, calling her Haruka's weakness, and held her at knife point, but Haruka effortlessly kicked him away. She thanked him for saving her again, but he told her that the thug just pissed him off. However, the gang is relentless in attacking, and Sakura protects Kotoha while fighting them off, but he was being hindered by having to stay in one place to defend Kotoha. He wondered why he was protecting her in the first place and reminded himself that it never ends well helping others. Still, he kept defending her, but eventually one of the punks stabbed Sakura on his ankle with a knife, leaving him wide open for another incoming attack. He was now in a bad spot and thought of why he hated helping people. Not knowing how to react, he closed his eyes, hoping for the bat to smash his skull, but to his surprise, another guy who wore the Furin High uniform shielded him from the attack while commending him for holding out for so long. Kotoha looked happy to see that other members of Furin High School had arrived, and the guy who just protected Sakura told her not to tell a certain someone that she was in danger. He knocked out the bat wielder and told the other punks that they made a real mess in their town and they were in big trouble as backup had arrived. The other Furin guys were disappointed to see the punks as they looked too weak to them. On the other hand, Sakura was shocked that Furin was saving him. The punks were scared to see the one named Hiragi among the Furin guys, but they were confident in their number and rushed in to fight them. Hiragi called on his colleagues to give the intruders a good thrashing, and it turned into a one-for-all, as hands were being thrown everywhere with the new guys from Furin High School easily demolishing the entire gang of punks. Suddenly, one of the punks tried attacking Sakura, but he was too injured to react, so the guy who shielded him earlier, Hiragi, saved him again, but he scolded him for standing in their way and said he should stand back if he was hurt, but Sakura furiously shot back at him, saying that he can defend himself and the thugs were his to fight. Hiragi told him to stay put and not make things difficult for them to protect him. Sakura was surprised that these Furin guys were fighting to protect him, and the residents of that area were actually hailing the delinquents and not being bashful. Kotoha reminded him about what she had told him earlier about the town's safety being compromised, as they were plagued by several gangs so much that they were almost being driven out of their town due to the constant violence. But students of Furin High rose to fight for the people by putting a notice board at the town entrance, which stated that if someone brought trouble to their town by harming people or property, they would purge them no matter who they were. Along the line, the townspeople gave the Furin students a new name, because they fought to protect the town. They were now known as the town's Furin shield called Windbreaker. With the whole fight now over, the townspeople all came out to hail the Furin, which still amazed Sakura. He had expected delinquents like him to be treated like trash, but to his surprise again an old lady volunteered to patch up his injured ankle, but he got paranoid once more and shouted at her. So Kotoha grabbed the first aid kit and patched him up herself, while encouraging him to learn to trust once again and welcome people even though she knew he has been used to being all alone. After patching him up, she requested that he raise his head and look at the people who were grateful to him. Sakura raised his head and saw their warm, smiling faces, but like the tough bastard he is, he ran off while fighting back his emotions and took it all out on the gang leader by kicking his face. Kotoha smiled, giving that look of, he will fit right in very nicely. The next morning, Sakura carried Granny Sato to Kotoha's restaurant while grumbling and lamenting over being used like a beast of burden. He told her to get down from his back since they had arrived, but Granny Sato was hesitant. She teased him and eventually jumped down from his back like a pro athlete, which surprised Sakura because she had told him her waist was bad, which was why he decided to carry her on his back. He called Granny Sato out for being an old liar, but she smirked and pretended to be ignorant. At the end of their bickering, she thanked him for being such a good boy, which made Sakura get flustered because apparently compliments are his weakness. As he was about to leave the store, Kotoha called him back and gave him some sandwich to eat ahead of his entrance ceremony at Furin High School that day. However, she noticed that Sakura was way ahead of time since the ceremony won't kick off till the afternoon, so she teased him for getting too excited to wear his uniform once again. Sakura quickly denied it, saying he just wanted to go for a walk. Suddenly, a cheerful-looking guy dressed like Harry Styles burst into the restaurant calling for Kotoha, but he got clumsy, slipped and fell flat on his face on the ground. He got up and asked how his uniform looked on him, so Sakura pointed out that his clothes tag was still there. He took them out and laughed over it, which made Sakura wonder if such an odd guy was actually a Furin High School student. Kotoha told him yes and stated that they would be in the same grade, but the guy wondered what Sakura would be doing at Furin High since he isn't from their town. He got close to check out Sakura's eyes and hair, which got him on defense mode, but he was surprised when the guy told him his eyes and hair must have changed color due to stress. However, Kotoha burst out laughing and introduced the guy to Sakura as Nirei, telling him that Sakura just came to town. Nirei was not impressed and asked why a nobody like Sakura came to their town and enrolled at Furin High despite having no attachments to the town. Sakura got pissed and was ready to slap him like a but Kotoha told him that Nirei meant no harm. So he told Nirei that he simply came to town and enrolled at Furin High to take the top spot, and after seeing some strong guys at Furin, he was excited to become the best among them. After listening to him, Nirei told Sakura that having such high goals might get him bald sooner, which got Kotoha laughing again, but it pissed Sakura off, so he demanded they fight it out. However, Nirei cut him short by pointing out to Kotoha that he had somewhere else to be by that time, while completely ignoring Sakura. With Nirei gone, Sakura expressed his annoyance over him and asked Kotoha how guys like him got into Furin, despite looking so uncool. Kotoha told him she didn't expect him to be judgy over looks, but Sakura explained that it was not about looks. Rather, guys like Nirei were known for chickening out of a fight based on his personal experiences. Kotoha called him out on making assumptions about people and gave him a brief lesson using coffee seeds as an analogy to get her points across. At the end of her lecture, all Sakura asked was if Nirei was strong, but Kotoha simply told him he is a musclehead that only cares about fighting. On his way to school, Sakura was stopped by some bakers who gave him some bread as a means of appreciation for the other day, but he got nervous and told them he was not hungry before walking away, but the bakers insisted that he eats the bread for lunch instead. He took the bread and continued walking, but he ended up getting many more gifts from grateful townspeople that his hands were filled with food. Suddenly, a girl called out to him for help, which scared him shitless that he threw away all he was holding. Meanwhile, somewhere in town, Nirei was being passed around like a football by a group of punks in an alley. Apparently, he stopped them from harassing the girl who called Sakura for help, so the guys decided to get their pound of flesh by beating him up. They tried leaving, but Nirei grabbed their leader while declaring that he was a member of Bofurin and a hero of justice. Now tired of his persistence in holding on to him, the leader was about to land a finishing blow on Nirai, but Sakura jumped in, sending the guy flying backwards with a kick. Nirai wondered why Sakura came to his rescue and warned him not to take on the guys alone. The punks asked Sakura if he came to save his buddy like a hero, but he made it clear that Nirai was a piece of shit and not his buddy, and he was just there to beat them up because he hates weak guys acting strong. Now infuriated, the punks rush at him to attack, which got Nirai worried, but to his shock, Sakura defeated all of them in an instant. Sakura suddenly glared in his direction with a scary look that got Nirai terrified. He thanked Sakura for saving him, but once again Sakura put on the tough guy look and told him he didn't come to save him. He called Nirai a joker for not knowing his capabilities and enrolling at Furin High. So Nirai narrated to him how he was every bully's back in middle school as they treated him like trash. But after he was saved by a Furin High School student, he looked up to him and he enrolled at the school to get stronger someday. But it's unfortunate that he is hopeless and pathetic. Sakura thought of how Nirai didn't chicken out like he told Kotoha, but instead he stood his ground against the punks. So he told Nirai to stop crying like a girl because he may be weak and pathetic, but he has courage. Suddenly the girl he defended came asking if he was okay and thanked both of them for saving her. As usual, Sakura got flustered over being thanked by a cute girl, so he tried walking away, but Nirai stopped him in his tracks and pulled out a notebook and started asking him personal questions like a journalist. Sakura knocked him for touching him like a creep, but Nirai told him he just likes to write down things about cool and awesome guys he liked. Sakura turned red and hurriedly walked off, but Nirai quickly followed behind and told him he will serve as his tour guide in the school, which made Sakura ask him if he thought he was too dumb to walk on his own. So Nirai explained to him that he would not only serve as his guide in school, but in town as well, because he wished to guide him to reach the top. With that, Nirai dragged Sakura so they could head to school, but along the way, Sakura stopped to snack on some of the bread that was given to him that morning, and Nirai was asking him to hurry up so they don't arrive late to school. Sakura reluctantly got up and followed Nirai, and they eventually arrived at the school. Nirai looked so excited, but Sakura wasn't impressed, and suddenly, Nirai called his attention to the class rosters and happily informed him that they are in the same class. He also saw that some cool guys were in their class as well, which got him more excited, but all of a sudden he froze in terror upon seeing a name which made Sakura wonder why he suddenly got tongue-tied. However, on their way to class, Nirai pleaded with Sakura to be on his best behavior and try to always smile no matter what, but Sakura couldn't care less about that. Nirai explained that he needed to be friendly since he is a stranger to town, and it would be easy to upset other students who would see him as Bofurin's enemy. In response, Sakura started doing some stretching exercises and told Nirai he was getting ready in case he got attacked from the start. At this point, Nirai knew arguing was a waste of time and cried out in frustration. Sakura told him he doesn't care about other students' opinion of him because all he wants is to fight his way to the top spot, and with that he opens the door and they are welcomed by some intimidating faces. A cheerful-looking guy with an eye patch walked towards them and asked Sakura if he was the real deal, and in response, Sakura clenched his fist ready to fight, so out of fear, Nirai brought down his clenched fists and apologized to the guy while informing Sakura he is one of the top guys among the first years named Suo, and picking a fight with him wasn't wise. However, the eye patch guy turned out to be quite the joker, which surprised Nirai, who thought of him to be more cold-blooded. Suddenly the guy got serious and stretched out his hand to grab Sakura, but to their surprise he started to pat him on the back, while praising him for standing strong and holding off the gang of punks called Spaltips the other day, during the clash at the main street. Hearing this, the other students gathered around and praised him for being a strong guy. Nirai was impressed that Sakura already had a good reputation for himself, so there was no need to worry about the other students thinking he was Bofurin's enemy. Suddenly, one of the students asked Sakura why he came all the way to their school from a faraway place, and Sakura blurted out that he came for the top spot, which got everyone silent. Nirai shrieked and started apologizing for Sakura's comments, saying he made a mistake, but like a stubborn goat, Sakura stood by his words. Out of nowhere, a wooden table was sent flying past them, and they turned to see a scary-looking guy approaching them. Nirai begged Sakura not to engage the guy in a brawl, as he is the most dangerous guy in school, and his name is Kyotaro. Other students immediately backed away on seeing Kyotaro, but Sakura told Nirai that he liked mad dogs like Kyotaro, and this got Kyotaro so mad that he launched towards him with a clenched fist, but they all dodged his attack and he smashed the table to pieces instead. On the other hand, Sakura was looking forward to their fight. Suo looked excited to witness their brawl, but Nirai was not having any of it. He went on to explain to Sakura that saying he wants the top spot at Bofurin in front of Kyotaro was a huge mistake, because Kyotaro has been visiting Bofurin since middle school, and he grew to become very devoted to the current top dog at Bofurin so much that it's almost like Kyotaro worshipped the guy. This was why mentioning that he wants to take the top position in front of someone like Kyotaro was blasphemous. One of the students called on Suo to stop the fight instead of fanning the flames of violence, but he declined. The student pointed out that if the fight was not stopped, soon Sakura might get hurt. Meanwhile, Sakura and Kyotaro had been going at it for a while now, and he almost tripped while dodging Kyotaro's punch, but in return he skillfully kicked his jaw so hard that it shocked everyone, and Kyotaro got a nosebleed. Sakura mocked him for being a fanatic who had no chance of defeating him because he has no mind of his own. The two launched towards each other for a fistfight, but suddenly, a voice from the speaker interrupted their brawl as everyone stood still to listen. The voice shouted so loud through the speaker, almost blowing their heads off, which made Sakura wonder who the madman behind the speaker was. But he was still feeling pumped up, so he called on Kyotaro to step out and fight. But he was shocked to see everyone standing still at attention to listen to the man behind the speaker. The voice behind the speaker introduced himself as Umamiya, the representative for Bofurin. Hearing this got Sakura so excited, as this was the famous top guy at Furin High. However, for a big shot, Umamiya sounded goofy on the speaker and had nothing of importance to say, which left Sakura and other students looking disappointed, but Kyotaro was nodding all through like a loyal dog. Umamiya advised the students to enjoy their youth and eat shaved ice at the beach, but Nirai found it weird, which led to Kyotaro grabbing his head and asking if he found anything to be funny about advice given by Umamiya. But all Nirai could do was beg for his life before scurrying away behind Sakura. Umamiya went on to advise them not to fight on their first day, prompting Kyotaro to quickly wipe off the blood from his nose, but Suo pointed out that their fight was already seen by everyone, so wiping off the blood from his nose was of no use. Sakura denied starting out the fight, and Umamiya continued advising them through the speaker as he reminded them to take priority in protecting the town, because they are Bofurin, and they should live up to the name. With that said, everyone chorused "Yes sir" in unison. Now that the announcements were over, Suo asked Sakura and Kyotaro to make amends by shaking each other's hands, but Sakura refused and said it was Kyotaro who started the fight. Nirai pointed out to Sakura that he was turning red and he left a knot on his head. Suo explained reasons why they should make amends with each other, and to their surprise, Kyotaro extended an olive branch first by stretching out his hand for a shake. In return, Sakura stretched out his hand as well, and they shook each other's hands. Seeing that peace had been restored, some of the students grabbed Sakura and started praising him for actually landing a hit on Kyotaro during their fight. However, Sakura wasn't used to all the attention he was getting because he was ostracized in the town he came from, so he was all quiet, which left one of the students concerned, thinking he passed out, but our energetic MC sent him flying with an uppercut punch instead. Suddenly, a senior student called them to step outside for some extracurricular activities. Moments later, the students are seen painting some walls, which left Sakura wondering why he was doing such messed up crap instead of fighting someone. After 30 minutes, they all returned back to school to meet another senior scolding some students that came down from their class late. Meanwhile, the seniors in charge of Sakura, Nirai and Suo ordered them to head over to the school courtyard for their next activity. Sakura realized that the other senior who was scolding the latecomers was Hiragi, and he was part of the guys who helped out with the street brawl the other day. Sakura explained to Nirai how he had met Hiragi during the incident he experienced with Kotoha the other day, but Hiragi heard Kotoha's name, ran to Sakura and grabbed him by the mouth and ran off with him. Now alone with Sakura, Hiragi reminded him that he was not to bring up conversations about Kotoha in school, especially relating to the street brawl that happened the other day, so Umamiya won't find out about it, as there would be hell to pay if he got to know. Then he reached into his side pocket and grabbed some heartburn medicine to take before walking off. Sakura returned back to Nirai, asking him what the whole fuss was all about, but he told him it's nothing, and instead mentioned Hiragi taking heartburn medicine like candy, which Nirai penned down in his book excitedly. Sakura asks why he was writing down such things, and he explained that Hiragi was part of the 4 kings under Umemiya in Furin, and according to their hierarchy, each of the 4 kings were in charge of teams assigned to them. For the next activity, Hiragi instructed the students to split into 4 or 5 groups, and each group gets a second year or third year as a supervisor. Moments later, we see Sakura, Hiragi, Nirei, Suo, and Kyotaro walking down the street together. Apparently, they were in the same group, and Sakura was visibly upset because he couldn't stand Kyotaro, but Hiragi made it clear to him that Umemiya specifically instructed him to keep an eye on them, as they had already fought each other on their first day in school. He stood in between the duo before they could duke it out again, telling them to stay apart as they walk. Meanwhile, Suo was at a corner with Nirei, amused at how Hiragi looked like a kindergarten teacher, keeping the 2 hot-headed guys in check. As they continued their patrol, Sakura complained about none of the activities involving fighting, as patrolling the town was boring. But Hiragi told him that everything doesn't need fighting as they don't start a fight, and patrolling town keeps the smaller gangs away from causing trouble. Few hours later, the team stopped by a shop to help the owner cover the graffiti left by punks on his walls with paint. Sakura wasn't having any of it, but Nirei reminded him that it's his job as a Bofurin. Hiragi informed the shop owner that they were done painting, and he handed them some snacks as a means of appreciation. As they carried on with patrols, Hiragi realized that Sakura can't have fun unless it involved fighting, and told him they were all once like that in the past. But after spending quality time with the townspeople, their orientation changed. Suddenly they arrived at a railway with a tunnel underneath leading to the other side of town. Sakura noticed the symbol at the tunnel entrance and mocked it for being corny, but Nirei got scared and begged him not to mock such things aloud as their enemies could be lurking around. He went on to explain to Sakura that they were at a territorial border between Bofurin and another team, while also warning him that it was dangerous to cause issues on the other side of the overhead tracks. He also revealed that the name of the team on the other side is Shishitoran, otherwise known as Devotees of Power, and none of Bofurin's laws meant anything there. Hearing Devotees of Power, Sakura smiled mischievously, but suddenly their attention was drawn to a guy being pursued on the other end by members of Shishitoran. Hiragi noticed the boy was from their town and shouted at him to run faster to leave their territory. Unfortunately, Hiragi realized that the boy's pursuers were gaining in on him, and he knew he wouldn't make it past them, as the boy also tripped and fell flat to the ground. To everyone's surprise, Sakura and Kyotaro both jumped in and kicked back one of the Shishitoran guys before he could grab the boy. Nirei was already freaking out like the next world war had been triggered, while Suo was just smiling. Nirei told Sakura and Kyotaro they attacked first in enemy territory, and it was bad, but the two said one of their own was attacked first instead. On the other hand, the Shishitoran guy they kicked was knocked out unconscious, and his comrades were mocking him for being weak, which got Sakura wondering if they were actually on the same side. Suddenly, an intimidating guy walked in, which sent shivers down the spine of the other 2 Shishitoran guys. Hiragi looked pissed that things just got messier, as he wasn't expecting one of Shishitoran's top men to show up. He is the second in command of the team, Togame. Togame was surprised to see Furin in Shishitoran territory. Then he saw that one of their men was knocked out. Hiragi stepped out to explain the whole situation, but Togame deduced that his team member was knocked out by Sakura and Kyotaro. The knocked out guy suddenly woke up and started ranting about how Furin shouldn't mess with Shishitoran in their turf, but Togame smashed his head with a bottle and started beating the crap out of him because he was a loser, still running his mouth like some hot stuff, and everyone watched, looking mortified. Then Hiragi called out to Togame to stop beating the poor boy, reminding him that the guy is still their teammate, but cold-hearted Togame denied knowing the guy as a team member and stripped him of his uniform, while making it clear that any weakling who lost is not part of Shishitoran. Nirei was terrified, while Suo didn't look surprised, as he said he had heard rumors about Shishitoran's barbaric ways. Sakura chipped in, calling Togame lame for beating up his member, which left everyone speechless. But Togame took a look at him and called him intriguing because his hair looked like an Othello game. However, he informed Sakura he had marked his face and would definitely beat the crap out of him the next time they met, so he walked away with the other two members. With Shishitorin gone, Nirai was freaking out over Sakura causing a huge conflict between the teams, as he had pissed off the second-in-command even further when they could have silently walked away. However, Hiragi made it clear that Togame would have never let them get off so easily, even if they silently walked away, because they entered his territory, and among Shishitorin, he was the most territorial. They all returned back to Furin, and Hiragi informed them they would be reporting directly to Umemiya, so he led them to him, and Sakura was very eager to meet the school's top man, but as they arrived what looked like the school rooftop, they were amazed to see it looked like a beach. To their surprise, Umemiya turned out to be a carefree guy who loved gardening. Sakura aims to be the top shot at Furin High, but we are yet to see him fight Bofurin's strongest. Could he pull it off as he goes through many adventures? Let us know if you want the second part by commenting Hero of Justice Das in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. See you guys in the next video.